Hello and welcome to this special edition of Dialogue with the World. Today our topic is the 17+1 cooperation mechanism. Actually, you have collected some skeptical voices during one of your interventions about the 17+1, and you have one of these voices I noticed is that the fear that this mechanism will split the European continent as it might challenge their principles and values. So are these concerns over Chinese investments an illustration of this fear?
I would say that's quite an often articulated opinion that via investment, China is able to politically influence the Central Eastern European countries, and also at the same time to undermine the common values and principles. But first, I have clear doubts about the common values and principles. So after the financial crisis in 2007 and 8, many of these common principles and values were questioned. So just to list one of the most crucial topics, we have no common understanding on migration. So from this point of view, I see quite problematic this approach that China is directly undermining the common values and principles. Secondly, we overestimate the role of the Chinese investments in the region. For example, in the case of Hungary, the share of China's investment compared to Germany's share in the total investment is really hard to compare. It's much smaller. So therefore, I think there is still not too much investment in order to use it as a tool to change the political behavior of these countries. So that's the reason I would say this is a kind of an oversimplification of this view.
Mr. Ding Yifan, you have written about the Sino-European relations, and you have mentioned a point that despite their high-level relation, there has always been some skeptical attitudes in this relationship. Why there's such, like Viktor has just mentioned, a superficial analysis or superficial opinions about it? Is that rooted in this long-term skeptical attitude that you mentioned in your book, or this is something new?
It's certainly not something new. In the relationship between European Union and China, there is also something very difficult, because institutionally, European Union is both an international institution, but also something else. Because initially, the European integration project launched by those 6 original member countries of the European community, they wanted to reach a process that is far beyond a regional organization. So, to some extent, those major countries within the European country, especially France and Germany, they have their geopolitical plan with those European integration. They wanted to make all these European regions their backyard. So to some extent, they see Chinese action, Chinese intervention, Chinese investments in Europe as a sort of infringement onto their backyard. A sort of penetration into their backyard. That's why Chinese cooperation with 17 countries, with those Eastern Central European countries, now with Greece, as a stretch to their intervention or to their norm.